Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but after that can do no more. I shall show you whom to fear. Be afraid of the one who after killing has the power to cast into Gehenna or to cast into hell. I hope you don't mind that I am recycling some ideas in this homily from June last year, 2020. I quoted verses 4 and 5 of Luke chapter 12, our gospel reading today, because they are the lines that tend to be misunderstood. When Jesus says, "Do not be afraid of those who can only hurt or kill your body," whom did he mean? Of course, we understand that to mean our fellow human beings. But who do you think Jesus meant when he said, "Be afraid rather of the one who after killing has the power to throw you into hell"? You know, I found out in a Bible class that most people understand that to mean God, to be referring to God. And the person who answered me was surprised that I was surprised dun sa sagot niya. He raised his eyebrows and said, Hindi ba? Hindi ba ang Diyos yon?" Of course, I frowned and he reacted and he said, ganun naman yung pagkakaunawa namin dun eh. That's how we've always been made to understand it. And so I addressed him and I said, so takot ka sa Diyos? And he answered, "Aba, syempre naman. Are we not supposed to be God-fearing? What else should that mean?" And so I asked him, "Bakit ka matatakot sa Diyos? Why would you be afraid of God if God is supposed to be a loving and merciful Father?" And the answer of the group was almost automatic, because God can punish us. He can throw us into hell. Well, actually, I will not be surprised if many of you who are following this Mass, both those following it physically and those online, would answer in the same way. One of the things I am most disappointed about is that a lot of Catholics have imbibed the idea of a fearful God, a punishing God, a God who is always threatening to throw people into hell. Ewan ko kung saan galing yung idea na yon. But it's not Catholic. At my age, honestly, I have become more and more convinced that it is not God, but we ourselves who throw ourselves into hell. Here is how I would paraphrase what Jesus is saying in today's gospel. Do not be afraid of your fellow human beings who can hurt your bodies when they are under the spell of evil. Rather, be afraid of the evil one. Siyang dapat katakutan, who can also possess you and hurt you or destroy you, not just physically, but spiritually as well. Ang konteksto nito is a mission, the mission sending of the apostles by Jesus in the previous chapter dito kay St. Luke, where Jesus gave instructions to his disciples on how they should conduct themselves pag nagmi-mission sila. And he's telling them, or maybe since the mission of Jesus continues up to the present time, I should say he is telling us. What he is telling us is this: don't allow yourselves to be intimidated by those who speak lies Huwag matatakot sa mga sinungaling. Don't be intimidated by those who promote falsehood. What you hear in the dark, you must say in the light. What you hear in whispers, you must proclaim from the housetops. Bakit? Because the evil one loves secrecy. He loves to move about in secrecy and lies. The evil one is an expert in bullying and intimidation. He will hold an apple and he will say, "Repeat after me, this is an orange." Of course, you hesitate dahil alam mo naman, ang nakikita mong hawak niya, mansanas. But then he points a gun at you. And then he says, "Now repeat after me. This is an orange." And you're trembling. And you say, "That is an orange." And he smiles with delight. At sasabihin niyang, "That's better." Ngayon, nagkakaintindihan tayo. But you hear someone whispering from behind, "But that's an apple, not an orange." And the other people look at you with dagger stares, and they tell you to shut up. Delikado kasi. And you shut up, and you're terrified. And perhaps you even begin to entertain the thought na baka ikaw yung mali. Baka talaga namang orange yung hawak niya. Alam niyo ho, sa kauulit ng kasinungalingan, nagiging katotohanan para, lalo na sa social media. Jesus came into this world precisely to expose the lies of those who are lording it over, those who think they are clothed with power. Pero sa totoo lang, they are naked because they are deluded. They are under the spell of the evil one. The prophet Jeremiah was surrounded by many enemies because he dared to proclaim the truth. He dared to call a spade a spade. Well, I have good news for you today. It is not God, but the evil one, whom you should be afraid of. And by be afraid, what he really means is mag-iingat, be cautious, be on guard, be vigilant, exactly as we are learning to be cautious and vigilant with COVID-19, because we know how infectious this disease can be. Nanonood ako ng BBC documentary recently about a reporter who was trying to do investigative work in order daw to trace the origin of the coronavirus. Hinahanap niya yung ground zero. How did this virus, which presumably infected only animals like bats and pangolins, paano siya nag-mutate? At paano siya lumundag sa mga tao? At sino yung pinakaunang tao na nakapulot nito? Patient number 1. How did this virus get transmitted to others exponentially until it became a pandemic, meaning it spread throughout the world? Well, kung nandito si St. Paul ngayon, he'd probably say, ganyan talagang magtrabaho ang masama. The evil one works this way. And I propose to use the word evil rather than sin. Evil, says St. Paul, entered through one man. As soon as human beings got infected by it, death also entered the world. And the infection has spread far and wide to all humankind. Well, sin is about being under the spell of evil. The enemy is not the infected one, but the virus itself, which unfortunately we do not see. Like the COVID-19, evil can also work asymptomatically. And so I hope you now begin to understand why I'm saying you should not be afraid of God. The biblical expression, God-fearing, does not mean what others understand it to mean. It is better translated as God-loving rather than God-fearing. What you actually should fear is separation from God. Yun ang sinasabi ni St. Paul in Romans 8. If God is for us, who can be against us? Who can separate us from the love of God? Separation from the love of God. Yun yung impyerno. That is what hell is about for St. Paul. And his question can be restated into, who will condemn us to hell? Well, the good news is, not God. According to St. Paul. Not God. Not the Father. Not His Son. So if it is not God the Father who will condemn you, who will? Is it God the Son? And he says, but it is Christ who died and was raised and is seated at the right hand of God. And in the end, he says, walang makapaghihiwalay sa atin sa pag-ibig ng Diyos dahil kay Kristo Jesus na ating Panginoon. And that's the good news that I hope you all remember, na siyang dapat mag-alis ng matinding pagkatakot sa Diyos na para bang kalaban natin siya. God's business is to save us, not to condemn us.